Dear Mr. President, your main priority should be energy. We use energy all the time without thinking.
Whenever we turn on the lights, we use energy. Our transportation system completely depends on energy.
We can't even expel waste without flushing a toilet, which requires energy. There are three major subtopics of energy: foreign outlook, the economy, and the environment.
Imagine that you are a child living in Malawi without running water or electricity. You've only seen a motorized vehicle 4 times in your life. Then you see on your village's TV that people in America not only have sufficient energy, but they waste a hefty margin of it. Are you going to like America? Obviously not. As a country full of consumerists and wasters, we cannot blame other countries for disliking us. The best way to improve our foreign outlook is through energy. If America can manage to decrease oil importation and consumption, we will not be looked at with anger and disdain. Also, if America can lead the international community into the future with renewable energy, we will be looked up to as leaders. If we can prove to the world that we genuinely care about each and every country, then it will be much easier for the U.S. to influence foreign policy. All of this should lead to a prosperous future with a truly international community.
Nearly 2/3 of the oil that we use in America, we have to get from somewhere else. We use 1/4 of all the oil that's sucked out of this planet every single day. We put straws in this planet called drilling rigs, and we drill holes very deep in the surface of this planet, and we find oil, and we suck oil out of the planet, and 1/4 of it must come to this little spot on the globe called the United States of America. That is the prodigious appetite we have for energy, and it enhances our lives in every way. But it doesn't add up to understand that we use 1/4 of all the energy in our country, we produce only 10% of the world's energy, and we have only 3% of the world's energy reserves. That is not an equation that adds up. So, if 2/3 of our oil comes from off our shores, from outside of our country, some of it from countries that don't like us very well, what are the consequences of that? Does that represent adequate national security when we are dependent on that amount of oil from others? It does not.
There are definitely concrete economic consequences that are associated with the way that our energy sources are used today. Oil is one of the largest and most vital resources, but its limited supply is decreasing, which is why this nation needs to find alternative energy sources. Investing into the energy plants and factories in the U.S. will open up millions of more jobs that would help decrease the unemployment rate. Even though these investments will cost money, it is important to begin the transition to oil-free energy resources before it is too late. There is already a framework for this energy movement, so to think of this country being less oil dependent is not impossible. Electric cars have found their way on the streets and have consumed less oil than gasoline-fueled cars, and we can further the expansion of alternative energy industries if we can just build on what we already have. Furthermore, high oil prices reduce the flexibility of citizens to spend their money. These prices are indirectly related to people being laid off and also have an effect on the higher food prices. This creates an imbalance between revenue collected by government and expenditures paid out. The energy sector's broad supplier networks and resultant multiplier effect also drive the energy sector's influence on economic growth. The industry's well-paid, skilled workforce and high capital spending flow through the economy, creating jobs and spurring growth in seemingly unrelated sectors. These benefits will certainly help re-energize the dull American economy.
Surplus energy. Luckily for us, we've had massive amounts of surplus energy to work with over the past 100 years. And here's where the story gets really interesting. Remember all these exponential graphs? In theory, there's nothing problematic with living in a world full of exponential growth and depletion curves, as long as the world does not have any boundaries. However, exponential functions take on enormous importance when they approach a physical boundary, as seems to be the case for oil in the very near future. Both discoveries and production indicate that we could be at oil's exponential boundary already. Population, money, and oil demand are all exhibiting exponential behavior. Of the three, we can make a very strong case that both population and our money system are utterly dependent on the continued expansion of oil energy.